All right, everybody, this is my second episode review of One Night in Idaho on Amazon Prime that just got released a few days ago. I watched episode 1, gave my review of that. Now here's episode 2, and it's titled A Lesson for Law Enforcement because I feel exactly that to me was the real message of this entire episode. And so I would summarize it like this. Law enforcement in America, unfortunately, has created a situation where they are basically a narcissistic boyfriend of America. And by that, I mean this. It's like a relationship. And this is going to be very blunt and very rude and is going to offend some people. But it's like a relationship where a guy has a girlfriend that says, I will allow you to come over and blow me from time to time, but that's as far as the relationship's going. Don't call me after you leave. That's the kind of relationship that America seems to be in with law enforcement. And the reason I say this is because all too often in America, law enforcement will tell you, we want the public to reach out to us and give us tips. They'll take all the information from you. They will take from you all day long and will listen to you all day long and give nothing in return, nothing whatsoever. They often stonewall you. They tell you it's none of your business. They treat you like shit for asking questions. This is what happened in the Idaho case. This is what happens all across America. It's a little bit of a rant that I'm going on because this episode highlighted it also too clearly for me. Now, they tried to blow it off in this episode as being, well, Moscow, Idaho is just not used to murder, and so they didn't know how to properly deal with it. But the attitude of law enforcement is one that I see played out all across our country, which is that if you call into law enforcement with some kind of tip or concern, they thank you for your tip and concern, and then you never hear back from them. You never know, even on a simple thing. If you see something that looks like a crime, like myself, just recently, I saw a woman running from a truck that was pulled over on the side of the road, and she looked like she was running in terror from that vehicle. I called it in, and that's the last I'll ever hear about it. Law enforcement thanked me for it. I'll never hear. I don't know if I saved that woman's life or if she was not in danger, because they give zero shits to follow up with you. It's all take from you. You give us information, we'll give you nothing in return. So mini rant over to tell you that that's how this episode, the entire episode went. It was basically, episode 2 was entirely a blasting of social media. The entire purpose of the episode 2, was to shame YouTubers, shame TikTokers, and shame anyone in this social media community. Oddly enough, news reporters are doing the same thing that social media influencers are doing, and it's okay for them. CNN and Fox and all these different organizations who are on the ground immediately after the event, that's somewhat okay, although even they in this episode are depicted a little bit like the family didn't want CNN knocking on their door 2 days after their child was murdered, so even that was a little shunned. But what really got shunned, what really got the hammer in this episode, was how disgusting YouTubers are. So I take personal offense at that, because you're basically saying that I am one of these despicable, disgusting human beings, when in reality, you can't have it both ways, America. You can't have law enforcement saying, we want tips from the public. Please call us in. Here's a tip line. Anything you possibly might know, tell us, and we won't tell you fucking shit back. You get nothing from us. We will stonewall you. As one reporter in this episode said, when they asked questions, they said, and they didn't get answers back, she says, so I thought you were taking questions. Oh, we're taking questions. And so she answers, but you're just not going to give any answers. And that's what it is. It's a one-sided relationship. Anyone in a one-sided relationship with the attitude of, you can blow me when you want to, but then leave and I'll call you when I feel like it again, but it's not a reciprocal relationship. Get out of that relationship. That's not a relationship. And that's how we're treated in America. And as to one further thing, as I continue with finishing my review of the episode, law enforcement could fix this if they would just spend a little bit more time appreciating the public who tries to help them out, instead of treating them like they're the bastard stepchild that they don't want around, and to basically tell them to F off until I come to see you. That's a narcissistic relationship. You are there to serve me. That's what their attitude is. I'll ask you when I want tips from you, and you won't get shit from me in return. It's a one-sided relationship. Okay, that's how the entire episode 2 goes. They in the episode, we do hear that we hear more about where the victims were that night. They were drinking from early morning that day. It was a party day. Football game was in town. We get to hear more about where Xana and Ethan were at. They were at a frat party earlier in the evenings, I think around 9 o'clock. They ended up coming home at 1:40-ish. The other victims came home around 1:45-ish, 2 o'clock in the morning, all of it kind of lining up in the same period of time when they all came home. And they'd all been out drinking for long periods of time. This, of course, explains the narrative narrative of everybody was hammered, and so they probably couldn't have fought back very well, although that's not said in the episode, but it just laid out some of those things. So that's some of the what's in the episode is some more details about where the people were in the party, partying that night. There's, again, a lot of talk in this episode. The majority of the episode is shunning YouTubers. One of the YouTubers that's featured, I happen to know pretty well. I'm not even going to say their name, but it is one of the fringe, freakier YouTubers. I've had experience with that YouTuber in the past. And so it's funny that they highlighted that as the example of YouTubers who are going crazy and doing horrible things. And like they said, for example, YouTubers that were pretending to be college students and trying to get into dorms and get inside information. And here's the problem. When they talk about, the episode focuses a lot in this episode of family members saying that they were threatened, that people who were on the periphery, like the hoodie guy or Jack DeCour or Sugar or whatever, the different people who were related to boyfriends of the girls, they were being threatened online. People were saying, I know you did it. I'm coming for you, whatever. And somehow they managed to tie in the death threats that some people in the periphery, people who suspected a Jack DeCour, for example, or the hoodie guy, which funny enough, the hoodie guy, they black out his name on any video that says the guy's name. They just keep referring to him as the hoodie guy that people had identified, but they don't tell you who it was in the video. Again, I know they're trying to protect people's innocence, and since they believe that the person was ruled out, that he's innocent, and therefore they're just not going to share his name on public TV. But they had his name on screen and they blurred it out so that you wouldn't be able to see who it is, and just said he was cleared, so let that shit go. But again, trying to assimilate all the people out there who did go a little bonkers and threaten people and say, oh, I know you did it, we're coming for you, I'm going to prove you did it, you're going down. All of that shit is not the YouTube community. It may be people in the YouTube community, but YouTubers like myself or researchers aren't going out there calling up families, I assure you, and telling them, or calling up suspects and telling them, we're coming for you, I know you're the one. I haven't done that. I don't think any YouTuber that I know who's covered this thing has done something like that. It may be people following the channels, but that's not to say that anyone who follows CNN or Fox News hasn't come up with their own conclusions and do similar things. Are we busting Fox News and CNN's balls every time someone in the public decides that they've decided who did it? We don't say, oh my God, CNN, stop reporting the news. You need to stop news. You shouldn't be a news station because somebody might go crazy and threaten somebody because you reported on it. They don't do that with mainstream media. I don't know why they do it with YouTubers. So again, I'm on a little bit of a soapbox. I'll try to keep it short. There's not really a lot in this episode to sink your teeth on. The entire thing was basically, episode 2 was a hit piece on YouTubers. That's what I felt it was, a hit piece on YouTubers and TikTokers. And they highlighted certain YouTubers and TikTokers as examples of disgusting human beings who are covering the case, and we're to be reminded that these are real human beings who are involved in these cases. Yes, mainstream media, same thing. Fox, CNN, you guys, those are real human beings. So maybe you guys should stop reporting news. Find a different profession, get out of the news, because apparently if you report on the news or ask questions, you're a disgusting human being, because these are real people and real lives at stake. Again, I guess that's enough of that for today. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I want to highlight from the episode. They did have they showed the timeline of when law enforcement did decide to give us little bits and pieces, like Chief Fry coming out and basically saying, we don't know anything, we can't tell anything. But what was hit hard in this episode was law enforcement still believed up to, I think it was the 23rd of November, law enforcement had their second or third press appearance and stated still after, I think, their second, it might have been the third, I think it was the third press appearance, they were still stating, law enforcement was still stating that they believed that it was a targeted attack. And a media person asked them, well, then who in the house was targeted, so that we can put this to bed and the public can know why you believe it was a targeted attack. And they just simply said, we're not allowed to tell you who we think was targeted. They did think somebody was targeted in the house weeks after the killings. So keep that in mind, all of you who are saying, oh, the house was just under attack and there was nobody specifically targeted. Again, I believe law enforcement had their mind on who was targeted, and it wasn't Maddie, who is now the new focus in all of the narrative, that Maddie was the target in the house and everybody else was collateral damage. Law enforcement did specifically say that they believed up to their, I think, third press conference that they believed it was a targeted event, that somebody in the House was targeted. When media, not social media, not law enforcement, when media asks in the interview, well, then tell us who was targeted so we can put this to bed. Nope. F you, this is a one-sided relationship. We'll tell you when we want to tell you something. Otherwise, quit asking us questions. And then they shame anybody who asks questions who are trying to help solve the case. And again, they even shamed anyone who wants to try to help solve the case. And I don't see how you have it both ways. How you ask the public for tips, how you brag that you've received 30 to 40,000 tips already in this case, bragging about it, how people are helping out, but yet if you ask questions, you're to be shamed and be despicable, despite the fact that when we give you tips, you give us nothing in return, nothing to say, yes, that was helpful. No, that wasn't helpful. We've looked at that. We didn't look at that. You just want us to keep give you and give nothing in return, and then shame everybody for trying to figure out what's going on because you're stonewalling us. So it's a one-sided relationship. Again, I'll just finish with that. The shocker at the end of the episode, the shocker was they left you on a cliffhanger on November 29th. Now remember, Bryan Kohberger's name allegedly was not given to Moscow PD until December 19th, I believe it was. He was not arrested in Pennsylvania until, what was it, 21st? I don't know, in December sometime. So the shocker of the episode was that on November 29th, multiple family members received a late night phone call at 11 something at night, waking them out of bed to say, we have a suspect in custody. Don't tell anybody, but we have a suspect in custody. And that's how the episode ended. It was a surprise shocker, like, oh, did we ever hear that they had somebody in custody for this? We knew that they ruled people out, but did they have somebody in custody? So because I only watched episode 2 and then went to making my recording on this, even I don't know who the suspect is they had in custody. I don't remember hearing anything about a person they had in custody. It can't be Bryan Kohberger, from what I understand. So I'm curious to find out as well what episode 3 is going to reveal about the person on the 29th of November that they had in custody related to this crime. So there you go, folks. I kept this really short, sweet, and to the point. Not to the point, because I beat a dead horse again about law enforcement. Again, I would say this as a helpful tip to law enforcement. Law enforcement, you could go a long way to repairing the damage that America has and distrust for law enforcement if you would actually act like this is a two-sided relationship. When we provide you tips, how about give us some feedback that those tips were helpful or not helpful, instead of saying essentially, fuck off and we'll tell you when we have something. Until then, stay off of my office unless you have something. Now, if you have something, keep talking to me. I'll listen to you all day long. But F you if you want any answers. I'm not allowed to tell you anything. That one-sided relationship is the reason why America doesn't trust you. And by the way, at the start of the episode, a thing was basically hinted at that I didn't hit hard enough. The reason why the rumor mill went crazy was because law enforcement stonewalls the American public. When we ask questions like, and by the way, they showed it in this video, media asking at the second or third press conference, why didn't anybody call 911 for over 8 hours? We don't know the answer to that. We're still looking into it. That's it. We don't know. We're looking into it. The media has questions. We have questions. And instead, you treat us like we're assholes for asking questions. Shame people when you don't give us answers because we go out to try to find the answers that you won't give us. Then you shame the public and tell people that those YouTubers are disgusting human beings that are ruining lives. This shit's got to stop, people. It's got to stop. People who do true crime aren't despicable human beings. They're people who have a genuine desire to know what happened. They want answers. And when the police decide to tell you, no, this is a one-sided relationship, you will shut your mouth until we decide to tell you what happened. That doesn't work for a lot of people. It works for a good majority of people, but for a lot of us, it doesn't work to have a one-sided relationship. So I, unfortunately, will just have to take the beating every once in a while that's the case. And it's funny because I just told somebody I'm going to stop apologizing so much for people who criticize me. The video right here, episode 2, the entire piece, I would call a hit piece, but the reason why I didn't call it a hit piece in the title is because you were going to think that hit piece means it's a hit piece against Bryan Kohberger. No, this was a hit piece against social media, YouTubers and TikTokers, and shaming them for getting into true crime and asking questions that law enforcement won't answer.